Hey, FDRS. It's so awesome to see you. I am about to preach to the choir because every single one of you in this room are resilient. But the topic of resilience isn't just for patients or clinicians or caregivers, the helpers. Resilience is needed by every single person. And here, in this beautiful arena where there's so much love and acceptance, oh, I want you to soak it all up. Please. For some of you, it's your first time. If so, raise your hand. Oh, God love you. Every one of you needs a hug, okay? Because I've had people already come up to me in tears. It's overwhelming to suddenly be surrounded by people that get you, that don't judge you, that are actually rooting for you. Oh, soak every bit of it up in these next few days together. But why talk about resilience at the very start? Because you're gonna get hit. Because we all get hit. I had this picture of like a hermit crab on the ocean scampering. And then they're getting ahead and they're making progress, and then boom, a wave. Have you ever felt like that? Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. See, I built this presentation because I had figured that I had paid all of my karma, all of my dues, and I wouldn't get hit again. It was time for us to get to the good part. And then, boom. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But first, let's do a little disclosure. My company, Vici Communications, does do consulting work for Lympha Press USA, and I will be forever grateful for that alliance because it caused me to fall in love with patients that have actually changed my life through their kindness and care and resilience. And shout out to everybody watching the live stream. Can we give them a round of applause? Yes! So what is this thing called resilience? You could probably tell me, but to withstand or recover quickly from obstacles, the ability of a substance, or in the case of us, people, to bounce back. Someone once told me, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall bend and not break." And what I have found in my own life is when I'm really stuck on something and then I get hit by that wave, it hurts worse. But there is something to resilience in being able to ride the waves of life and being able to take it a little bit easier that helps you when the blows come. Because, oh man, I wish I could stand here and say, we're all good now. But life has a way of coming at us. And here's the thing, for those of us in this room, you're not just facing your condition, you're also facing life. And those of you who are clinicians, you are treating a chronic condition or chronic conditions, and you're also facing life. And that includes people and problems and losses and challenges and laundry. We need resilience, folks. And so I thought about, who do I consider resilient? And that's, well, by the way, you might not recognize me. I used to have long, dark hair. That's me on the left as a teenager, my grandmother in the middle, and my mom on the right. Now, my mom suffered from hypochondria. She was, in all ways I could describe her, a very fragile person. And we grew up, every week she was going to the doctor because she had a perceived illness. She always thought she was dying. And I'm not making light of this. It was a really debilitating mental condition that she had. So at age 37, when my father died of a widowmaker heart attack, and she was left with me at age 10 and my sister at age 15, everybody was braced. They were convinced that my mom was going to go off the deep end. In fact, my grandmother, which was not a very cool thing to say, would say, now you behave because you don't want your mom to go back to the institute, which she had been institutionalized when I was a toddler. But something shocking happened. Instead of the death of the love of her life causing her to crumble, my mother not only rose up for the first time in her life. She didn't even have a high school education. She got a job. She bought a home. She paid it off. She sent me to college. She gave my sister and I weddings. My mom rose up. What an amazing woman. And I had to say, why, Mom? Of course, I didn't say it, but I was just glad she was okay. But why, when she was so crumbling early in her life, all of a sudden something rose up like a phoenix out of the ashes? And I want to say to all of you, too, don't forget all the things you've overcome. See, the next time you get hit by that wave, I want you to look over your shoulder and say, you know what? I made it through last time. My track record is great. I will make it through this one. This too shall pass. You can look over your shoulder and be proud of all the times you thought, stick a fork in me, I'm done. And yet, you're still standing better than you ever been. Yeah, right? So you're resilient. But I want to give you some tools, and I want to warn you about a bully. I hate bullies. I never stood up to them in high school, but I stand up to them now, and there's one big bully that is going to try and attack your resilience over and over and over again. And if you know it and are on guard to this bully, then you can win. And it's the F word, and not that one. It's fear. Now, on my PowerPoint, there's an R on that. Something happened in the translation, but just imagine with me that there's an R there. The bully is fear, and fear makes the wolf bigger than he really is. It will make a mountain out of your molehills. And when you are faced with those challenges, and my heart was breaking as Sarah was talking about, not even being able to find the right gowns when you're trying to get a mammogram. And these are the things that come up against you. And then fear comes in, and it has a leading line. And that leading line is, what if? What if it never changes? What if it's always going to be like this? So just be on guard to the bully, which is fear, with its nasty leading line, what if? Because fear will attack your pillars. But I want to encourage you, as I encourage myself, to hold on to the pillars that have been revealed to me. You can Google resilience, and there's a million TED Talks, and they're all good, but they didn't work for me. Because I didn't want to just hear about the hitting rock bottom and now I'm at the mountaintop. I wanted to know how. Like, how do you get there? What do you do when you're in the dirt? And I believe I have some encouraging words for you in that regard. But how was this revealed to me? On September 26th, 2023, which was after FDRS, this past summer, I was driving home from dinner with friends. It was just a normal night. 35-mile-an-hour zone going home to my house in La Jolla, California, and coming at twice the speed limit directly at me was another vehicle, and it head-on collision occurred. As I braced for impact, I thought, I guess this is how I die. And then after the jolt, and I wasn't sure if I didn't even know if I was going to be okay. that's when the real challenge began for me, because I laid in a hospital bed, bruised, in great pain, but more than that, the mental pain of, why am I still here? And I think many of us go through those dark times where it's like, come on, I have no more fight left in me. The doctors said that people don't often walk away from the kind of accident I was in. But I'm standing here tonight. And I want to paint a picture for you that no one's pain is more important than another's. We all have pain, and we all need resilience. And this experience, lying in that bed and asking God, why am I still here, caused me to wonder how other people made it through dark times. And I actually started a podcast called The Alchemy of Pain, mainly because I was curious. I wanted to know how people who had been through really, really bad stuff, worse stuff than me, how were they still functioning? And I have done these interviews. I've done about 30 of them, and you're going to hear from 3 people whose stories touched me, and they gave me the pillars that I'm going to give to you tonight. The first pillar is hope. You need resilience. You need hope. You need to know that things can change. That's why we go on dating apps. There is the hope that just perhaps I could swipe on the right person and they could swipe on me. Now, of course, that's also why I delete dating apps, because the swiping depleted my hope. That's why we buy lottery tickets. We want hope. We want, if you can't win if you don't play, right? At least there's the hope that I could win something. And those are fun and small things when it comes to hope. But then there are the big things, which is being able to see the light despite the darkness. Knowing that even on the cloudiest day in your soul, that there is a light that still shines. That's the power of hope. But fear, remember the bully fear with an R? Fear says, what if the clouds never part? So let's kick that what if to the curb. I want to introduce you to my friend, John O'Leary. Maybe you know him. When he was 9 years old, he decided he was going to play in the garage with gasoline. And there was an explosion that burned him over 99% of his body. The doctors said he had a 1% chance to live. This is what John O'Leary says about hope. Oh, guys, I need you to play that video for me. It's worth it. You just have to click that little thing at the bottom of the screen. By the way, they're making a movie of John O'Leary's life. It's coming out in November of this year, and it's called On Fire. He goes around the world now speaking to different organizations about the power of hope. Can you imagine having a 1% chance of survival? And now he goes around and he's an inspirational speaker. Gentlemen, are we able to do this, or should I just keep going?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So I downloaded the iPod. If you know where it is, play it on your phone.
That's not going to happen. Because this is embedded into this presentation, and it was edited specifically for it. There we go.
I came into the hospital as a 9-year-old boy with no clothes and no skin on. Like I am dying. You said 1%. The percentage is this. They take the percentage of your body burned. So do the math at home now, 100. They add your age, 9, and they've got mortality. That's how they do the math in 2024. So in 1987, when this went down, It's not even 1%. It's a hopeless situation. I didn't know that. I just knew it was bad. And I knew I was maybe dying. And my mother came into the room and she told me she loved me. And I looked back and I said, Mom, knock it off with the love. Am I gonna die from this? And when I asked her the question, Brenda, I assumed she was gonna say, no, you're not gonna die, baby. We'll get you out of here this afternoon. We'll swing you through Steak and Shake or Whataburger or In-N-Out. Like, we'll get you a milkshake on the way home. And instead of giving me the milkshake promise, the easy path forward, she held my broken hand, a hand that is gonna have its fingers amputated shortly, so it's bad. She takes that little hand in hers, pats my bald head, and says, baby, do you wanna die? It's your choice, it's not mine. And I looked up at her kind of surprised and said, Mama, no, I don't want to die. I want to live. And her response was, good. Then look at me. You take the hand of God, you walk the journey with him, and you fight like you never fought before. Your Father and I will be with you every step along the way. But John, do your part. Fight. And on that morning, this is 37 years ago, a little boy who had never heard of a skin graft or physical therapy or amputation or all the IVs, respirators. I'd never heard of any of the treatment stuff, but I already knew the outcome. The fight was on. The fight was on, and we were going to get out of here. And to your point earlier, you also said, gosh, you didn't have the tools. No, I didn't have the tools, but thank God for a loving, fighting mom and a present dad, and great volunteers and janitors who did their job well, and nurses who stepped forward, and like the whole crew started stepping around this little boy. And although I didn't know how to, meditate, I knew how to pray, and I knew how to fight a little bit, and I knew how to have goals like going home, and I knew how to have hope that tomorrow could be better than yesterday. This is, by the way, something we are losing as a nation and as a global marketplace. This idea of actually tomorrow will be better than yesterday. It's called hope. And when we begin losing that, we will lose the vitality and the vibrancy for life. And when we lose that, we lose the next right step. So even that 9-year-old boy, and then I'll be quiet, even that 9-year-old little boy had maybe the most important tool in that quiver, which was hope. I had hope.
I love that cut because hope is alive and well here at FDRS. It is alive and well with all that you heard what the Lipedema Foundation is doing, and the research and the advocacy and all of the things that all you amazing people are doing on social media and moving these topics forward. Hope is alive and well. And I hope that you hold on to hope as one of your pillars, because even the longest night turns to day. Hold on to hope and be resilient. Hold on, pain ends. And you know what? If you're in pain, just hang in there and distract yourself with something that makes you feel better. Be good and kind to yourself. Hope is good and kind to you. Painting the what if something wonderful happens instead of something bad? The second pillar is faith. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about faith in a higher being, although if that is what you have and it helps you, that's amazing. Faith is taking a step even when you don't see the whole staircase. The thing about faith, it gets attacked with, oh no, what if I take a step and what if I fall? But I have to say, my darling, what if you fly? What if you fly instead of you fall? Robin Tanner looks like the quintessential cheerleader, the all-American poster girl. And she was a very high-performance athlete, and yet one day she couldn't get out of bed. And she was misdiagnosed. And I know many of you know that pain over and over. Let's hear what she has to say about faith.
What happened was they missed it. They sent me home with a white blood cell 1,000, and I think normal range is around 8,000 or less. And so I was through the roof, and it was just human error. They had missed it. And had I not fought and fought and fought, one more phone call, one more doctor, one more test, knowing that something inside me was wrong but nobody could see it, almost killed me. And it took over a year to really get myself back into physical shape to where I could do the things again, because Brenda, I couldn't walk, I couldn't go to the bathroom by myself, I couldn't put on my shoes or my socks, or I couldn't get in and out of bed. I mean, there was nothing that I could do. You have to listen to your body, and oftentimes there's so many of us suffering on the inside, and we hide it, and we isolate from it, or we dumb it down, and we shrink ourselves, and we shrink the pain that we're in. It's not that bad, or somebody else has it worse than me. And so I really brought that out to try to be like the face of pain. Like, I'm perfectly healthy, I look fine, I look normal, you would never know. And to this day, as we stand here, like, I'm missing part of my spine, I have a dead leg, I have a lot of degenerative issues inside my bones, I fight infections a lot, and you can't tell. You can't tell. And so I think there's a lot of people out there with mental health that have issues like that, but also have just the pain of not living the life they want to live. And not to continue on about it, but I wasn't really living the life I wanted to live at the time. And I believe this came to save me so that I could be catapulted in to the life that I was always meant to live and serve. You got to have some faith, not just in something higher than you, but in yourself. So I would take yourself back to a time that, you know, like, that you can do this, that you're strong. And I go back to the little girl in me that was 2 years old, spinning around in a little white dress with white patent shoes on. My dad had just picked me up and spun me around and set me down, and I was mad. And there's that old video, you know, like the VHS tapes that our parents had back in the day. But that image helps remind me to honor the little girl inside, but to fight for the woman that I'm still becoming. And it reminds me that I'm capable and I'm able of way more than I ever thought possible. So you gotta believe in yourself, you know? And sometimes you gotta borrow that belief and courage from somebody else that loves you. And, you know, so it could be your kids or your husband or a girlfriend or a neighbor or, you know, anybody that believes in you. You know, you gotta have that support system, but really ultimately it's, you have faith in yourself, and then fight like hell. Like, fight like hell for yourself. You deserve it.
Because you're worth it. I love how she said, borrow it if you need it. And I want to encourage all of you in this room and on the live stream, borrow it. Borrow the faith that you can get from the people that love you. Borrow it all. Be lavish with it. Say, I could use some faith right now. Can you give me some? But you are worth it. I love her story about faith. And also, to listen to your inner guidance. She knew something was wrong with her, and yet the doctors kept disputing it. So I want to encourage you to listen to your inner guidance. And the third pillar, and someone you really love is coming up in this next clip. The third pillar, I bet you could guess it, right? Yeah, the third pillar is love. You know, when my partner passed away, that little dog right there, Shasta, needed me to get up every day and walk her. And I loved her more than I loved my pain. And sometimes having people in your world that you love more than you hurt, than the hurt that you're in, can help you keep going and be resilient. And whether it's a partner or a child, or even our Lipedema patient roundtable, which we absolutely love, where we encourage each other, love. Choosing love will help you to be resilient. And I talked about this with Patty Cornute on my podcast. Shout out to you, Patty. We're sending lots of love your way. Yeah, let's clap for Patty while you guys play the clip.
It went on like that till about October 2012. My family was really big into Halloween and going trick-or-treating with our daughter. And she was 8. And I had gotten so much worse since my diagnosis in that short time span. And I had to watch her and my husband go trick-or-treating without me. And I sat there with my legs elevated, trying to do all the right things, and just tears streaming down my face. And part of that was sadness over what I was missing out on. But a bigger part was the fear of where was I going to be next year? I just felt so helpless, and like there was nothing I could do to have an impact on the direction of my life. And how was I going to get better from this? And that was probably the beginning. I mean, with this condition, I think with any chronic illness, it's gradual, it's progressive. So human beings are very adaptive, and I think we kind of get that little bit of pain and we learn to live with it. And then a little bit more comes or something new comes and we learn to live with it. And I think we tend to be very strong bearers of pain. And that's what I think was happening. I was finding, workarounds for not being able to do things and how to move my body differently if I couldn't move it in the way I was used to moving it. But that moment started, I think, maybe 5 months of me really living in a state of fear and being afraid that I wasn't going to be there to see my daughter grow up. And so my husband was teaching CrossFit at the time, and I said, "What's the workout of the day?" And he's like, "Why do you want to know?" And I said, "Because if I fall down, I want to be able to get up and not need to call the ambulance if you're not home." And he said, "We can do that." And that's how it began. And it was so powerful, and it's been probably such a gift when I look at it, what this gave me to learn about myself, to learn about my body, and the connection between the physical and the emotional pains that we kind of go through, and the physical and emotional fitness that we can work on, and how one feeds into the other one, and you can lean on one or the other as needed. And so that was the biggest day that and it was so powerful. It wasn't like I had to get from where I was at with this very limited mobility to where I wanted to be. Every step that I got a little stronger and a little stronger fueled me to keep going and to keep fighting.
She loved her family and loves her family so much, and she loved her inner being that said, "You know what, even though the doctors said you shouldn't exercise, you need to move your body so you can have mobility." And how many people does she now inspire because of her following love instead of fear? She chose love over fear, and Patty Cornute is to me one of the finest human beings and one of the greatest examples of resilience that I've ever met. And so in all of this talk about love, please remember to love yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. Give yourself all the grace and the space in the world. And, as I laid in that bed and I said, "Why am I still here?" I literally heard in my spirit, "You can still love." I used to be really, really great at to-do lists and feel this sense of satisfaction crossing them off. And after the accident, all I got is one thing on that to-do list: love. Which means every time you encounter me, you're going to get love bombed. And yeah, it's for real. But the truth of the matter is, what else is there? When it all boils down, it's love that never fails. It's love that believes all things, bears all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love is the secret sauce for resilience. And in this room tonight and wherever you go, hold on to those pillars of hope, faith, and love, and change your what ifs from the negative to what if you get stronger? What if new game-changing treatments are developed? What if new people come into your life and bring you joy? What if your story helps someone else keep going? Flip the script on your what ifs. Beat the bully of fear. Use your gifts. Sing, Angelique. Do Pilates, my friends. Do what you do. Nobody else can do you or be you like you, and you bring something unique and wonderful to this world. And I'm telling you, always believe that something wonderful can happen, and your world will change. So as my muse, Gloria Gaynor, said, and I Will Survive. Want to sing it with me? As long as I know how to love, I know I'll be alive. I got so much life to live. I got so much love to give. I'll survive. Say it loud. I will survive. Hey, all right, well, we could go into a dance party, but as we close, grab someone's hand or put your hand on your heart and just say, there is enough hope and faith and love in this room to see me through for the rest of my days. And hold on to those pillars, my friend, and hold on tight to each other. It's a privilege to be here, and I thank you for your time.